Hey everybody, welcome back to the CrumeCast podcast. Today I have Kenny Lanham. He has been in my life for several years. He's a huge impact to me, my family, the business, the installation business. We've been around a long time at this point. So Kenny, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself and kind of give us a little bit of a history lesson on you.
So my name is Kenny Lanham. I have worked in retail for, 38 years. Kind of started with Depot. Went with Depot for about 14 years. Then I came home and worked at Levy's and a few other spots. And then in 2005, I started working for Lowe's in St. Louis. In June, and I was working inside of the stores. Came home, got married in 2005. Worked in the stores for 5 years in Louisville. Had a blast doing it. And in mid-summer 2010, I was asked to be the district installation manager for Lowe's, which put me in a position to where if a customer came into a Lowe's store in about 20 different Lowe's stores and purchased a install, it was my responsibility that we had a qualified installer at the end of that to go make the experience a great experience. And at that point, took that position, had about 110 installers, and had a lot of opportunity to make that experience better.
Yeah.
So that's a couple of years into that is when I met you.
Yeah. So the episode I've deemed to be titled "It Started with a Ladder," and I always said if I wrote a book, that would be the title of it. It started with a ladder.
Yeah.
So me growing up, we've talked about how I've grown up in the install world. With my dad, my grandpa was a plumber, like all that stuff. We've been over that. And when I was installing, I knew of a guy named Kenny that the dad always talked about. And he'd always say, Kenny don't ever answer the phone, like Kenny this, Kenny that. But I'd never met him. I didn't know who he was. And back then there used to be these things called installed sales offices where you go into an office in whatever store you're visiting to pick up from. And people in there would print out your stuff. This was like fax machine days. Everything was much more manual then. And I walked in this office, and they used to have people that would sell, like they would sell in the home, and they would sit in there too. So when I walked in, I seen a guy sitting there on a laptop, and typically that was the in-home salesperson. And so I walked in, and we did window treatments. We did blinds then. We still do, but we were just probably a few months into doing blinds and appliances and water heaters and all the other stuff then. Dad was running the company. I was young. I was in my early 20s, and seen what I know now was you sitting there, but then didn't know it was you. And I walked in, and I had a blind that was like 15 or 18 feet in the air, something like that. And I didn't have a ladder that I could reach that high on, that I carried with me. I couldn't afford a ladder that tall at the time. And I used to go in the installed sales offices. I had great relationships with everybody in there.
You did.
So I walked in, and I told the lady that was there, I said, hey, I got a tall one today. I need to grab a ladder. I'll bring it back when I'm done. And I'd done this several times,
Yes.
where they'd be like, okay, just make sure you take care of it and then bring it back. So I would just borrow the ladder, and she looked at me and she was like, yeah, you can't do that. And I thought she was messing with me. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to get a 12-footer. I'll be back. And she was like, no, you can't take a ladder out of the store. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, we can't just let you use ladders. And I kind of picked up on the fact that like something was up, right? So I thought maybe she got in trouble for it or something had happened. Still not registering my brain that this dude sitting over on a laptop was anybody that mattered to me. And so I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll cancel this job then. Like, if you're not going to let me borrow a ladder so I can do it. And about that time, you spun around in your chair and this way, and you looked over at me and you said, "You install blinds for us and you don't have a ladder?" And again, still not registering anything. I looked at you and I'm like, I mean, yeah, I have ladders. I just don't have like a $300, $400, $500 ladder that I carry around to do one job that's 15 feet in the air every 3 months. And you were like, huh. And you stood up. And when you stood up, your name tag was on your vest. And I looked down and was like, oh shit, it said Kenny L. And I was like, this is the Kenny Dad talked about. And I was like, so I instantly went, but I probably should buy one. They are getting more frequent here lately. And you're right. I probably should have one. You said, yeah, I would think someone we're paying to do these jobs would have the tools that they need to do them. And I was like, yeah, you're 100% right. I'll go get one right now. So I walked out of the installed sales office and I'm freaking out already because I only know you to be the guy that can fire us at this point. And I'm like, oh man. So in my head, I'm like, all right, well, I can't afford this. Like, it's either buy this ladder and go do this job and not pay my electric bill or my rent, or cancel the job and risk losing everything, right? So I went out there, got the ladder, went through checkout, put it in my van. Actually, I think it was in my truck at that point. Drove, was very careful with this ladder. Kept all the tags on it, kept everything pristine condition. Got the job done, stuck it back in the truck, drove it to a different store, and returned it. Got my money back because I couldn't afford to buy this ladder, but I needed to get the job done, especially now that you were on the radar. So I remember going and being like, I got to get this done. So I called Dad immediately. I'm like, hey man, I think I just screwed up. And he's like, what? I'm like, I didn't know that this Kenny guy was here. And I was kind of making an ass of myself, and I was kind of rude to him because I didn't know why he was in my business. And then I realized that this was his business. And so, I did this. I was like, but I think everything's fine. Like, he seemed to be okay with me buying this ladder. And so did the job, took it back, got my money back so I could still pay, my rent. And I didn't tell you about that for years. I remember that ladder I went and bought. I returned it because I still couldn't afford it at the time. And that's why I say it started with a ladder, because it was the first time that we had met. And I remember not long after that, I had a whole cart full of appliances. I think there was like 3 or 4 of us in the company as a whole at that time. All right, I was an installer. Dad was running everything, and we had, I think, Corey, my brother-in-law, was with me. Maybe Terry and Dad. I think that might have been it. I don't know. And I was getting ready to roll out of the Norton Commons store, and your office was right there by the exit door. And as I'm pulling through, I look over and I see you, and I'm like, hey, like, oh God, there's that guy again. And you stopped me, and I was like, shit, he knows I returned this ladder. Like, that's the first thought that through my head. It was just like, he checked the receipts. He was waiting for, he's out to get me. So I'm like, okay. So I go in, and I remember you being like, hey, sit down. You sit down. I want to talk to you. And in my head, I'm like, man, I've got like 7 jobs right now I got to go do. I'm on time windows, right? And in your realm, you worked the 9 to 5. You were the corporate employee. You didn't have necessarily those windows. You understood, but you didn't think about it. It was more just like, hey, I'm inviting you in to sit down and talk to me. Come do that. But in my head, I was just like, I don't have time for this, but I'm going to make time for this. So I come in and I sit down, and I remember being nervous, and you just started asking me about myself, right? Like, who are you? Like, what do you do? And you said, what all do you do? And at that time, I was doing anything and everything. Like, if someone would pay me to pick dog crap up, like, I'm in, like, whatever it took. And you said, man, why are you doing all this other stuff? I was doing sheds, fitness equipment, treadmills, grills, gazebos.
Outside of Lowe's.
Yes, just anything and everything that I could do. And you said, well, why are you doing all that? And I was like, well, because I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to build something. And you said, well, why don't you just grow with us? And again, I'd never been in this side of that part of the business necessarily. And I was like, well, what do you mean grow with you? And you were like, well, we've got tons of room for growth here, why don't you just grow with us? And I was like, well, I don't know how. And you said, well, I know how. And I was like, okay. And then you asked me the question. You said, what are your dreams? What are your goals? And at that point in my life, the only thing that I really, really wanted to do was to be able to create some kind of retirement for my dad. Because I'd watched my grandpa work. I was watching my uncle still working that was older than my dad and, hit the Social Security age and live off Social Security. And I knew that, like, at that point in our lives, there wasn't a retirement option per se, right? Like, we didn't have 401ks. We didn't have money to put back. We didn't have any of that. You just worked, you made what you did, and you lived paycheck to paycheck for the most part. So I said, I want to retire my dad. That's why I'm out here slinging everything I possibly can to try to create something that has passive income. And you said, You said, okay. And you had already had our surveys and everything pulled up, all of our scores from, the customer reviews and whatnot. And you looked at me and you said, here's what I want to do. I can get on this computer and push a few buttons and I can give you more work, because we were sharing the work in the Louisville area with like 5 other installers, I think at the time, 5 other companies.
Yeah.
So we would get one, they would get one, we'd get every 5th or 6th one.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm going to turn up this dial a little bit so you'll get 2 to everybody's 1. And I want you to come back at the end of the quarter. And if you can keep these scores and you can keep doing as good as you guys are doing right now, I'll turn it up a little bit more. And the end game would be, you're the only person I have. And I was like, okay, can you handle that? And I was like, I'll work 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah, in my head, I'm talking to myself saying like, no. But to you, I'm saying, absolutely, we've got this. So get done talking with you, grab my cart, pull it out, load my truck, call my dad. And I'm like, hey, I just talked to Kenny. And he's like, oh, shit, what's wrong? And I was like, nothing's wrong. He just stopped me. And he's going to give us more work. And he was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, he's going to give us more work. This is the timeline, right? We've got to the end of this quarter to prove to him that we can do an increase of work and keep the same consistency that we have today. So I started digging in, and you were one that would constantly, you knew exactly how to light a fire under me. There would be an email that would talk about our lead times, or an email that would talk about our surveys, or anything at all, and you would just forward it to me and say maybe 2 or 3 words like, you can do better.
How you like them apples?
Yes. And I would freak out. Everything was a freak out. And I'm still like that in a lot of ways today. I just sent an email to our leadership team today of a report that came out that was a good report that I didn't see us on. And I said, this used to never happen. So I'm kind of Kennying them, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff you would say, like, this used to never happen. Is this too much? Yeah. And it would challenge me, and I love a good challenge. So we met at the end of that quarter, and our scores had actually gotten better. And you said, how are you doing this? And I said, well, it's easier when we have more work. It's actually easier to route jobs and do all this stuff. So you kicked it up a notch.
Yeah.
See you next quarter. And next quarter rolled in, same results, right? Like, things are looking really good. Kicked it up a notch. See you next quarter. I think that went on for about a year.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less than a year. Maybe it started at the beginning, and then towards the end of the year, you said, hey, the next step is I pull all of these other people in one at a time and let them know that I'm going a different route, and essentially letting them know that they no longer have a contract and all the work's going to come to you. Before I do this, I need to make sure we're on the same page. I need to make sure that you are where you're supposed to be, where you need to be, and keeping in mind that there's this little spot called Evansville, Indiana, that's part of my market that you're going to have to take. And I was like, I'm fine with Louisville. Evansville's like, that's 2 hours away. There's no way we can do that.
And Madison too.
Yeah. Madison and Vincennes. Vincennes, what, 3 hours at least from here? Yeah. So gave me more of a challenge, right? Because I thought, man, we've got this in the bag. We're doing good. But I pushed against Evansville quite a bit because I was scared, to be honest. I was young. I didn't necessarily know what I was doing per se. And I couldn't drive to a job and fix it if it was in Evansville, Indiana. everything here. I could hop in my van and knock out, and I had full control over anything and everything that I needed to do.
Yeah.
And same with Dad. Like I knew I could call Dad. It's hard to call Dad and be like, I need you to drive 3 hours away to tighten up a water line and then drive 3 hours back. So it was a bit scary. But I want to get kind of your side of that, right? So like you got this young, dumb kid that's coming into an office that you're looking at going like, really, this is who we have doing our window treatments, and he doesn't even own a ladder. So kind of walk me through like your mindset, because obviously you're, a couple years older than me. You've been in the business for a couple years more. How did we get to what prompted you? And I don't think I've ever even asked you this. Why? Like, why pull me into your office and give me that opportunity?
Yeah. Well, first of all, hats off to Nicole at Shepherdsville.
Yeah, she played it well.
That was early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I always started early. You said something about 9 to 5 earlier. I never heard of that.
Yeah.
But I always started early. You came in, and I was actually just checking the data for the previous day. And when you all were having that conversation, quite honestly, I kind of knew a little bit about your company. I knew about your dad. I knew that I had been getting a lot of really good feedback about Crume, and I knew that that you were going to be part of our future. But once again, we weren't supposed to hand out ladders because how are you going to track that? And you're right. You told me years later that you kept on cleaning that ladder and making sure you didn't hurt the labels so you could take it back that day because you needed the money. But jumping into my job, at my role at Lowe's at that point, when I came in to do that role, Shane Kitts placed a lot of trust in me. I had a wonderful relationship with him. And I think when I came in, Tim, I think I had 110 installers. And at that time, Lowe's was talking about bringing it down to where it's manageable. So yeah, that was a fun morning with the ladder. And then when I was looking at Crume, in order to be able to grow the capacity, and I would look at your dad. I love your dad. One of the greatest people in the whole wide world. But was he going to be the face of growing Crume Installations? And I asked you that. And you said, well, Dad's a single father, and so he's not going to really grow the business. And you had a lot of things that he didn't have. Not that he couldn't do it, but he just didn't have. He wasn't part of the tech that you had, which was huge. You jumped into tech really early in your business to really make that work. I know I'm kind of rambling here, but this is the first time I've ever been on a podcast. But one of the things I really wasn't. Michelle had kept telling me that you had said something about getting with me to chat, and I wasn't really concerned about general plumbing at that time. I had millwork going crazy. I had flooring going crazy, kitchens going crazy. I had a lot of bigger categories that were in really bad shape that I needed to work on before I got to putting a toilet in.
Yeah.
So I remember you coming in my office that day, and we talked about it. And you from that day forward, Tim, everything that you said you were going to do, you did it, and you did it well. And you did it with enthusiasm. You did it with growing people. You had a group of people around you that I would call blue collar people. That were people that you grew up with, that you were putting in front of me, and I would just shake my head and I'd be like, "Oh my goodness, okay, I trusted you." I could see them, but I trusted that they were going to do what you wanted them to do. And when I see those people today, you talked about the consolidation into where we were going to let people go and whittle it down. I think when I left Lowe's, I had 12 installers in the same market. I had 12 installers, down from 100. And that was scary. It was scary for a lot of different reasons, putting all your eggs in one basket. However, if you think about it, having 9, 10 installers instead of 110, you can be a lot better at what you're doing. And that's where Lowe's was going. So I needed to just start putting you out in front of people. I needed people to see. I needed my bosses to see what I seen in you. And so after we talked that day, I had a lot of confidence. Then I remember the day when you were brought donuts in.
Yeah, so that was after we had taken Louisville and Evansville. So we went to Evansville, and you kept pushing, right? Evansville's part of it. And I'd actually met with Sergio and went to lunch with him and Jose, and they're the ones that kind of convinced me. I won't say exactly what they said, but they basically let me know that I was running my business like a scared business owner, right? That me telling you no was saying that I'm not capable and that we can't do something. When I knew that we could, I was just the problem, right? So like, anything's possible when you take off the blinders. I live by that today. Mm-hmm. And they essentially told me like, hey, you're blind right now to the opportunities around you. So I called you after that. I was like, turn it on, we'll figure it out, right? Had no idea. We didn't have any capital. We had no money necessarily, right, to do anything. I was still installing and growing and managing the company at this time. Dad and I had, kind of made an arrangements where he's like, look, you and Kenny have a good relationship. Like you need to do this. So we get to Evansville and I'm like, all right, so hotels are at least, the ones that you're probably going to need to burn your clothes afterwards are $70 a night. I still can't afford that to be out there as much as we were going to be. So, I did a lot of searching and researching and thinking and just jotting down different numbers and whatnot. And I told you, I said, you know what? We were doing a visit to Evansville before we took it. And I said, I figured out how I'm going to do this. I've got Hunter, who has, for whatever reason, decided to take a leap with me. And he's going to go to Evansville. He's going to manage Evansville. He's going to find the installers. He's going to do all of this stuff. And to be able to get him here as often as needed, I'm going to buy a camper. And I found this campground that's like right outside of Evansville. And I can buy the camper. It's a write-off. I can pay monthly payments on it over like 30 years. And it's like 20. No, I hadn't found it yet. But I had done the numbers and stuff. And we were in Evansville when I was telling you about this. And I said, so we're going to do this. So I can buy the camper and I can put it in the this like camper like RV park.
KOA.
Yeah. And I think it was like $300 a month or something to leave it there, and that included like your water and whatever.
Yeah, I was with you when we went and got the.
Well, you told me. You said, "Well, let's go find a camper," and I was like, "What?" And you were like, well, "Let's go." So we got online and found a camping spot. This is how nervous I was about it. Is in Evansville, we go and literally day of buy a camper.
Yeah.
Right. The camper is sitting right outside of here now. Actually, it's under that overhang. That camper's gotten multi-use since then. And so I go and I buy this camper and I'm like, heck yeah, like ready to rock and roll, like not thinking through the fact that I live in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And to tag it, I have to pull it all the way home for them to inspect and tag and then turn around and drive it back 2.5 hours to Evansville, Indiana. Well, I didn't just buy one here and then pull it, but whatever. We weren't thinking that way. But we bought the camper. I think it was $27,000 for the camper. It was like $200-something a month, $300-something a month for the site. So we're looking at $500 or $600 a month versus $100 a night.
Yeah. Well, just a little note about Evansville. When I came on board, Chris Schote was the district manager, and I reported to Chris. Chris basically told me, he goes, if you can fix Evansville has never, ever, ever had capacity, ever. Every time I go to Evansville, they talk to me about how horrible the install program is over there. So one of the things that my goal was to put you in Evansville to show Chris what you were doing.
Right.
And wow, how successful was that? Because when we got over there, he did not believe that we could fix Evansville. He said, Kenny, it's not possible to fix Evansville. And there's a lot of reasons for that. The labor market there, they were huge at one time. And then, all the restrictions that they had. We had tons and tons and tons of restrictions. We had to go do this. We had to go do that. And
Permits, licensing.
Oh my gosh, it was insane.
You have to pull a permit to put tile in. You have to pull a permit to put a storm door in.
Well, yeah, Evansville, yes, and there's a history on why, but Evansville was a place to where you remember when we had the Christmas party. Was it last year or the year before? It was for last year. We did this. Okay. So the office called me up and said, "Hey, all of us are going to say a word about Tim. Give me your word. What's your word?" And I spit Evansville out, because Evansville is what propelled Crume Installations to be what they are today.
Yeah.
It was a deep challenge for me. I wasn't sharing that with you because I didn't want that pressure to be there. But yeah, Evansville was huge.
It was our first sink or swim.
It was sink or swim.
It was make or break. It was scary, and
we were already in Lexington.
No, we went to Lexington.
We weren't in Lexington.
After that.
Okay.
We had been in Lexington, came back from Lexington years and years ago.
Okay.
But yeah, it was scary, but it was only a few hours away. And Hunter, man, he lived in that freaking camper. At the time he was single. His wife now, actually, they were dating while he was in Evansville.
She wanted him back.
Yeah. So yeah, she would visit him, and they'd hang out in a camper.
Yeah. Go get on the swings.
I remember him calling me and saying like, "Hey, we got a problem," and I'm like, "What?" And he was like, "I don't have any water." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "The pipes froze up. It's freezing up here." And so I told you to go buy bales of hay and put them around the bottom of the camper to keep the wind from blowing through. And just all the little nuances of like figuring that out, right? Like, how do we find labor? We used to use Craigslist, right? And Craigslist is great, but you get some people from there. We got some good people, and we got some people that it was like, holy crap, like, are we going to see our family again? But it helped us develop into like, okay, we went from Craigslist to doing like Facebook and putting ads out, and then going into like Indeed and all of these different things. And then how do you manage that? Doing store visits, building relationships outside of the ones that we have here. Everyone here knew me because I was in every store installing.
Yeah.
Well, I'd never been to Evansville. I'd never been to any of those stores. They had no clue who we were. And it was a challenge proving who he was, because they did have those people, right? And now we're replacing them. Mm-hmm. At least here, the people that we replaced or we absorbed, they knew our work prior to this area. It's just, hey, there's this new company that doesn't even live here coming in.
And they had no faith that we were going to succeed.
No. So it had its own set of challenges, but they were good because they really did develop the future of who we are today. Excuse me, and who I am today. I had to lean and let go of some control in an area that I was still here. We weren't self-sufficient, right? I still had to be in the office every day. I still was developing software and technology and all of the stuff, trying to streamline everything. So like, there's no way I could have just stayed in Evansville. Plus, I had little kids at home. It was impossible. But Hunter did it. He went out there. He lived it, and I didn't know what I was doing, and he definitely didn't know what he was doing. And together we were able to form something that worked. And it took that was our longest, slowest. I think what is Evansville's? Evansville's 5 stores. Henderson, 4 stores.
4 stores.
2 in Evansville, 1 in Henderson, 1 in Vincennes. Yeah. And Vincennes is an hour away, so it's 3.5 hours from here. And
they really never thought that would ever even be possible.
No. And he's having to learn, and I'm having to learn, how do we do this? And it developed a lot of the things that we figured out in those early days we still hold true today. But the big thing was his culture, right? Like, constantly making sure that, okay, Evansville is part of us now.
Yeah. Evansville, you said that you weren't there, but you were there. You came in and made sure you were the face of Crume Installations. You would, Hunter was, at that time, I don't think Hunter, there's a lot of great things about Hunter, and I could talk all day long about the Hunter story. I love him to death, and his wife. It's beautiful, but him going in and developing that relationship, you were teaching him that.
Yeah.
So you would come in and visit the stores, and he would visit the stores with you, and he learned that part. He was going to put in the best plumbing work. He was going to by far be the best. We didn't have to worry about that. We had to build that relationship that we're here to stay. We're not going anywhere, because people had came and gone for so long.
Yep.
So yeah, you were, don't give yourself a little credit there. Yeah.
I was there, but I wasn't living it. I was living it from a fear factor and being home. But I mean, he did. He stuck it out in the crappiest weather, and
he learned a lot.
He learned a lot.
Yes, he did.
And that's helped him become who he is today, right?
Absolutely.
Like, it was tough, and you know, now he has. It's not just a, hey guys, go there and do this. It's, hey guys, go there and do this. And I promise I've done it in much worse circumstances than I'm asking you to do it, which is crucial.
At this point, you would send him in any farther would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on, the donuts at the store was after that, right? So like we had tamed the beast of Evansville.
Yeah.
We were doing pretty good, and I used to go into the stores, and I would always take like donuts or take some kind of snack to the production office, the installed sales office. Yeah. And I come walking in with this big thing of donuts, and you had just, I guess, left the restrooms, and you were walking right back across where I was coming in, and you turn around and you were like, dude, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, I brought some donuts for the guys and girls in installed sales. And you go, oh, no, don't go in there. Follow me. And I was like, okay. And if there's one thing about Kenny that you'll learn is sporadic happens often, where I have zero clue what's going on. We had not talked. I didn't even know he was at the store at the time. And he's like, follow me. So he takes me in this room, and I walk in, and there's like a horseshoe shape, and then like a rectangle table like this at the head of it. And you've got like 4 people sitting at the rectangle table, and then, you know, all these people sitting around in like a horseshoe shape. And, you know, Kenny goes in, and I walk in, and I'm standing there, and Dale Johnson, your boss at the time, who was in charge of the entire region.
My new boss.
Yeah. I had met him through some awards that we'd won, and but I didn't know him super well. And you were always and still are our biggest fan. And we walk in, and you're like, hey guys, I brought Tim Crume. And I look, and I'm like, oh my God, like, who are these people? Like, I knew everyone in our area, so I knew they weren't from our area. And I remember Dale standing up, and TC, what are you doing, buddy? He calls me still calls me TC. And, you know, you introduced me, and I've got these donuts in my hand, and I'm standing there like, I have no clue what the hell is going on right now. So I just said, like, I brought donuts. Like, I don't know what else to say. So I set the donuts down on the table, and Dale and you start talking about like what we had been doing for the past year or so. And, you know, he starts rambling off the scores and the surveys and the growth and all this stuff. And then somebody puts a chair in the middle of this horseshoe where I'm facing the people at this rectangle table, which I later found out was from corporate. And they were like, hey, sit down for a minute. Let us talk to you. And I'm like, I'm in my mid-20s, maybe.
Yeah.
And
You're a baby.
I'm scared to death because I'm like, I don't know, like, you know, I didn't get to prepare, which I guess helped me today because, like, even with these, like, I'm just like, all right, like, turn the cameras on, here we go. And they sit me down, and they just start berating me with these questions. Hey, how did you do this? What did you do here? How did you do this? How does this work? How are you structured here? What kind of phone system are you using? What kind of technology are you using? What's this? What's this? And I just answered them honestly, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey man, I've got great people. You know, I've got people like Hunter. I've got my brother-in-law Corey. I've got all these guys and girls that have came together. And man, they'd take bullets for me. They'd fist fight every one of you guys here if you said anything negative about me, and I would do the same for them. And essentially, that's what I came across as is like, hey, this wasn't really that hard. We just get up and we go to work, and that's what we do. Like, if you tell me there's an issue, I say, okay, I got it. Thank you for letting me know. Now let me do my job and get with the people that I have surrounded me, and we're going to figure this out. And I remember at that time, I ended up figuring out that all these people sitting around the horseshoe were other Kenny Lanhams in different areas, right? Lexington, Gatlinburg, Nashville, Cincinnati. No, Cincinnati wasn't there.
No.
But all these different areas, right, in Kentucky and Tennessee. And
Not to mention the VP of installs.
Correct.
Chuck. Charlotte was there. Paul Bowman was there.
Yep.
Everybody from corporate the organizational
Yes.
chart was in the room. And actually, once I got you seated in there, I left.
yeah, well, I did not.
Yeah.
So I started getting all these field managers at the time, the Kennys of the world, started just handing me cards. And they're like, hey, let me know when you're ready here. Let me know when you're ready here. And I'm like, shit, I was just bringing donuts to the installed sales office. Like, how did we end up here? And I'll never forget that Dale Johnson stood up and he said, hey, dude, everybody, listen. Now, Tim Crume can't be in every one of your damn districts at all the same time. He's only one person, and let's be honest, he can't do all of it. And it kind of took the wind out of my sail, and everybody's like, energy kind of calmed in the room. And man, that stuck with me. And I came home and I could not get that out of my freaking head of like, Tim Crume can't be in every one of your damn districts at all the same time, right? Because even though I wasn't in Evansville all the time, I was still running Evansville from a leader perspective. And it drove me crazy because he wasn't wrong. He was 100% right. I had built this model that works, but the model was not scalable. And so I just started playing with numbers and playing with spreadsheets and money and people and just man, for hours and hours, I would just sit there and be at the office drinking bourbon, trying to reconfigure our system to do this or do that. And then when I'd get a break, I would start figuring out, like, how can I be in all these areas all the same damn time? And that's when the field manager role became a thing. I can't be there. So the next big company meeting we had, I talked to you and I was like, hey, here's what I'm going to do. We had meetings every Friday. Everybody comes in, right? And if you want something more, I think I've spoke about this. Show up every Friday at 7 o'clock. I'll be here. And I just poured everything that I am into as many people that would show up. And I think there were 7 of them that showed up and that consistently showed up throughout. And I just started telling them, like, hey, when a customer problem shows up, like, this is how I handle it. Like, we're in the customer service business, right? If we've pissed a customer off, like, why did we piss them off? And is there something we can do? Is it in our control to fix, right?
Yeah.
Stores, they're human beings, right? Like, let's treat everybody like that they matter, and let's treat everybody like that they are part of our success. Because don't forget, if they're not selling, you're not installing. And if you're not installing, all of us are working at Walmart saying, good morning, welcome to Walmart. And I kept doing that for months. And I talked to you, and you said, call Dale. So I called Dale, and I said, Dale, you remember a few months ago you told me that I can't be in every one of these areas at all the same time? And he said, yeah, dude, unfortunately, that's just the truth of it. And I said, I agree. I said, so this is what I've been doing for the last several months. What if I can't be in all these areas, but what if different versions of me can be? And I kind of told him what I'd been doing. And he said, well, I tell you, boy, you cracked the code. You call my people and let them know what you want. And if any of them tell you no, you tell them to call me. And
It was on.
boom, it was on.
Yeah.
You were like...
Well,
at that, then it went from you being the guy that was the giver to like, don't forget where you came from. Like, don't forget about, don't mess Louisville up.
Yeah, my role at that point became knowing that if you wanted to do this, that you were capable of doing that.
Yep.
So my job was for you to slow down to go faster. Mm-hmm. And I think I use that quite often.
Sometimes you got to slow down to go fast.
Yeah, and I didn't want you to go too fast because it would hurt.
Correct.
And it would hurt really, really hard.
Yep.
I remember one night, I think we were on the phone. It was a cold winter night. We were on the phone talking about a Kentucky game.
Probably.
I think we were talking about UK basketball. And you said, hey, by the way, I got a guy headed to Cincy. And that wasn't my area. And I immediately was pissed because I'm like, dude, somebody's messing with Tim without me knowing about it. And I don't have a problem with people calling you and working with you. I want to know so I know what's going on in your life.
Your job relied on me being successful as well, right?
Everywhere.
Personally and in a business sense.
Yeah. So anyway, I said, why are you going to Cincy? Why do you have somebody driving up 71? And I said, call me in the morning, let me know what's going on. And what I did at that point is I knew who the who was doing my job in Cincy, and my job was I'm gonna call him in the morning and tell him if he wants to take Tim, he need to come through me. You don't just put check Tim in your box.
Yeah, it was further. It was like 3.5 hours away.
So the next morning, I tried to call you, didn't answer, and you didn't answer for a reason because
I was probably asleep.
You probably sleep. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, I said, "Hey, what was going on in Cincinnati?" And you got on you got your phone out and Googled beautiful toilet, and you sent me this picture of this white toilet, and it had all these flowers growing out of it, and I'm like, bullshit. He's messing with me. And then I called you up and I said, Tim, tell me, is serious to me.
Yeah,
I need to know why you went to Cincinnati.
So
and you said, Kenny,
it was
there's only one thing I can tell you. There was this elderly lady, and her toilet was broke. It broke about 3 months ago, and she didn't know it. And all the installers in Cincinnati went out there and they said they're not going to touch it. And at that point, your guy went up there. In today's world, I'm going to do today what others won't, so tomorrow I'm the only one doing it.
Yeah.
How true did that become that night? Because when no one else would do it, they called you from miles away to come and take care of a little old senior citizen who had no idea her toilet was broke. And you guys went in there and you pulled that toilet and you made that happen and made that lady's life a lot easier. But I mean, that story, I could tell stories the rest of the day about that. I mean, I could tell stories. I could put tears in your eyes for the next 12 hours talking about what Crume Installations has done for people. As simple as Tim's, and you know what? I didn't hear about this one forever. Tim's going through a store, and it says Crume Installations, and the Lowe's employee says, "What's Crume Installations?" And Tim says, "Well, we install for Lowe's." And she says, "Well, what do you install?" And you mentioned water heaters, and she goes, "Oh my goodness, I'm going to see you in about 4 or 5 weeks." And you said, "What do you mean you're going to see me in 4 or 5 weeks?" I got a house full of kids, and our water heater went out, and in about 4 or 5 weeks, we're going to be able to afford to put a new one in. And she had a water heater that night. And Tim, I remember being at a Christmas party with me and my wife. And I knew that you were up to something. This was when the Christmas party was
second one
was down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I knew that you were up to something, and I'm nosy. And I wanted to know what you were doing. And you just blew me off. I think you handed me another beer and said, go have fun. So then I seen you again, and you said, "Look, Kenny, just come in the room. Just get Tanya and come in the room." So me and Tanya came in that room, and I had no idea what was going on. We go in this room. It's you and your dad and Shelby, and me and Tanya came in there, and this installer comes in there, and you talk to them about the season, the Christmas season, and how the kids have been jumping up in your lap, and how much fun it was during the month of December, and all you could think about is how they didn't have those kids to do that. They were having a hard time having a baby, and you handed them X amount of dollars and said, "Go have a baby." And that says it all about Crume Installations. That says it all. And I continued after that, and it could be as simple as we were in Knoxville, and we were going out to dinner, and we walked past a homeless person. And I turn around and look behind me, and I see $100 bills going into his little container where he's picking the guitar. Most people would throw $1, you'd throw $100, and once again, I'm blessed to be part of that and to be able to witness that.
Yeah,
very blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was it's the morality of it. I've always wondered why, like, why me, why us, why this? Why did you pull me into your office that day? Why did you pull me into this room? And then all these people give me cards, and then Dale give me an opportunity to go outside of here, and then corporate gets a hold of it, and they're like, "Here's a map, right? Like, where do you want to go?" And that's when the big explosion happened into the multi-states, and I'm just me, right? I got a high school diploma, like I'm an installer, right? I'm still an installer. And, you know, the ruck experience, I mean, you've talked about this. I went in with imposter syndrome, and I still struggle with that. You know, why me? Like, I don't deserve to be here. Like, am I even really the owner? Like, what am I looked upon as, right? And it's a me thing. And through that experience, you know, I asked God that, like, why? Like, why not, you know, the next guy or like any of the other installers? You know, there were hundreds of them. And he said, well, one, you asked for it. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to, I would watch, my mom would always watch like the Grammys and all of that crap, right? And I remember it was on in my room. I was just had the TV on, and it came up on one of the stations, and all these people getting out of these crazy cars on this red carpet and dressed to the tens and diamonds and crap all over them. And I was just like, damn, like, man. And I remember I was like, I just, as a child, I just said, you know, God, if you ever give me the opportunity to have anything even remotely like this, I'd have more fun helping others than I would helping myself. And I didn't remember that. I didn't remember that I had done that until I'm in the woods and having a talk with God just by myself, after gone through all these different experiences and stuff to get there. And I was really kind of broken open and in a good way. And I asked him that, and he said, because you asked for it. And that memory popped into my head. And I was like, wow, like, I guess I did, right? And he told me, I gave it to you because I trust you with it.
Yeah. I tell people all the time that God gave the right person money.
And I never really thought about it, right? Like, that's just who I want to be. And that's like who my wife wants to be. And that's who I want my kids to be. That's who I want everyone to be. Right. And like, that's why we work so well, because my employees aren't my employees. Like, they're my family. They're my friends. Like, I care about what's going on in their lives. The customers aren't just customers. Like, those are humans, and those humans have, you know, stories. And if we're doing something that aggravates them, man, it could be the tipping point of something terrible that's going on in their lives. And even though I'm this much of their week or their day, we can have this much of the good of their day, right? It could be the only good in their day. Or the lady that needed a water heater. Like, who doesn't deserve to have hot water?
Yeah.
Right? And why should anyone have to wait 4 weeks to be able to take a shower and not freeze to death? And well, look, I can talk to the store, and like, they gave me the water heater for cost. And then I went and did the install myself. So I was able to get her a water heater for a quarter of what. So, hey, it's not even, we didn't even charge her anything. Like, we just took care of it.
Yeah, but that was huge in her world.
But for me, that's something like, I do this all day, every day, right? And being able to look at that and go, what takes me an hour, right? And maybe working a little bit late that night changes the projection of her month, year, day, family, like whatever, right? Like, who knows what she had going on in her life? She was an older lady, and she was still working a register. So, you know, clearly it wasn't just piles of money where she's retired as some big exec somewhere. So, like, if I have that, why wouldn't I do that, right? Like, I have hot water. And if maybe I can't go to a steakhouse that night because I spent my money buying someone a water heater, but hell yes, like, I'll do that every single day. And, you know, with the Christmas party, like, you know, I kept feeling the tug, and me and this installer had talked, and, you know, I'd asked him, like, you know, you married? Yeah. I'm like, you got kids? And he's like, oh, we're trying. And like, we'd had this conversation before, and he was like, we're trying, but like, we have to get, oh, dang it, we have to go to the doctors, and they have to, you know, help us or whatever, in vitro or whatever it's called. And I was like, oh, cool. So you'll be doing that soon. He was like, well, we're saving up money to be able to do it. And again, it's one of those things, like, money shouldn't be something that takes away a natural joy, right? Like, everyone should be able to have the joy of having children. And I got to see all those kids running around at the Christmas party and smiling and going to their moms and their dads, and my kids included. And I thought to myself, like, man, how crazy would it be if a dollar bill kept me from being able to experience this love? And if I have the opportunity to be able to write a check to help someone experience that every day, all day. And like, I still live in that light. And I think if everyone could move in that direction and get rid of the politics of it, or I feel this way, I feel that way. Like, we're all human beings just trying to live a life of being human. And in that, there's certain challenges that we face. But if we came together and supported each other in a way that we just seen the human behind whatever political belief you have, or whatever, even whatever religious belief you have, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the way. Like Jesus didn't walk around on earth. I mean, he had Mary, for God's sakes, who was it was like the furthest person that you would want in your circle in that moment. And like, he just walks right up to her. So like, if our goal is to be like that, then do it.
Yeah.
Be like that.
Yeah. Well, not only, Tim, not only were you monetarily helping people, I remember I asked you to go help us build a kitchen. I think it was at E-Town, and it was a kitchen for the autism and the special needs kids and that. And we went in there, and I'll never forget the thrill and the tears from the teachers after we went in there and worked for a few days and did something very simple. There was a bunch of us that went in there and we did that. And then everything I asked you to do, you made it a super project. We had how-to clinics. I remember you and I went somewhere. I don't know where we went.
Spencer County. Middle school.
Yeah, you know what was funny about that is that evening or somewhere in the next couple of days, I heard about a homeless student at Spencer County, and it tore me up. And we were able to help that person, but we went to those clinics in Spencer County, and you took your time to make all of these like puzzles on how to mend copper or burn solder or something. I don't know what it was. I just know that it was a freaking blast to go do that. And I wonder how many of those kids today are doing that for a living because of us going there and doing that. And then once again, we've checked the community box. We've checked the how-to clinics. Now let's go to the career days. Hey, come do a career day with me. And we went and we were doing this career day. And the next thing I know, you're talking about somebody, and it has something to do with...
It was tech. I'm a nerd. I like tech.
Yeah, it was tech. And it was in Texas or something. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know what they were doing
So
there.
they were getting into virtual reality. This is when it's Meta now, but the Quests, VR headsets and stuff were becoming a thing, and people were implementing different tech and being able to like build their own systems to work with this technology.
Yeah. And they were stuck.
Yeah.
They were stuck because we can't take it any further. And this wasn't going to help somebody in the community that we were in. Yeah. This was people from Texas. And you unstuck in a flash of light, you unstuck them because you got on your phone and ordered everything they needed right then and there. And I'll never forget that lady crying. She's like, "Who is this person? What the hell just happened?" And so, like I said, I haven't even scratched the surface of what I've witnessed, Crume, you and Shelby and your family do for other people. I do remember telling you quite often that I kind of started over in my life late in life, and I had a couple of kids later in life, and I used to tell you all the time that Foster was my Corvette. You know, I used my money to have Foster, and I'm not going to take it any further than that. But those that know us know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But anyway, and there's not a day goes by that I'm not on the phone with somebody and somebody's telling me good things about Crume. It's just an amazing blessing to be part of it.
Yeah. Well, you were a big part of it, so you're also quite the blessings from who is this guy? I'm not buying a ladder. Like, this guy needs to piss off somewhere to like, you know, where we are today. So now you work with us and you recruit, right? Our biggest fan can now bring installers in by telling them about our company. And it was a perfect match. I don't think we ever saw it flowing into that the way that it did, but it made so much sense when it did, right? Because you're able to go through and make sure you know the culture better than anyone, right? You know who and what we stand for and how we want to treat people and what we're looking for. And, you know, you're not just asking, you know, can you put a dishwasher in or hang a ceiling fan or put a window in? Like, you know, who are you? Tell me about yourself. Let me tell you about this company. And then let's get to the fact of like, do you even know what you're doing? Yeah. And in some cases, they don't know what they're doing. Hey, Tim, these people, they don't have a clue. But I'm telling you right now, we need to hire this person.
Yeah.
And we need to train them. And we need to show them how to do this stuff because it can be game-changing for them. It's the culture that we have is made up by the people that are in it. Yeah. And, you know, with the Hunters of the world or the Matts driving and doing this toilet. And it was bad. It was really, really bad. And when you asked me, like, hey, how bad was it? And that's when I sent you a picture of a toilet with a flower coming out of it. I'm like,
I've been trying to find
it's
that.
Done.
I've been trying to find that picture on Google.
It's done. The toilet is done. And that's all you need to know. But that's a testament to like the people, right? Like I got a phone call that this was going on in this area, and I literally just put a text out to like 5 people and said, hey, this is what we've got going on. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be a money maker for you. We're not going to charge an exorbitant amount of money, and it's going to be disgusting. But someone needs our help, and within 5 minutes, I'll go there tonight. And like that's who we are. That's who I will always. I've always said if we had to change that, I'd be done. I would not want anything to do with it because it's not about the money. It's not about the look how big of a company we've got or any of that crap. It's, man, look at the people. Like, look at the people. When we do our big Christmas parties and there's 400 something people there, and I get to look out and I get to see everybody smiling and laughing and having a good time. That is what feeds me. That's what makes me happy.
Yeah.
The rest of this crap is it's just a part of life. It's a part of like the human side of things, if you will. But as far as feeding the soul, you can't feed your soul with $1. Yeah. You can't. You can help someone and then build a relationship off of that, and that'll feed your soul. And that's what I think we're supposed to be doing. And that's my expectation of the people that I surround myself with. Yeah. The people that are in my circle, my friends, my family. I want people to love people, and I want people to help people at any time that they can. And we've done a tremendous job of being able to build that as a big company that is known for that. We're not known for how great we install a dishwasher because anybody can install a dishwasher. I've always said you could teach a monkey to install a dishwasher, but can they do it the way we do it? Yeah. Can they ask about the customer and how their day is, or if they see something like, oh man, I really like that picture. Is that yours? Yeah. Like, that is what makes us who we are.
Yeah, recruiting for the company is so simple to me. And I tell people, you know, I may find some if we need a dishwasher installer in Chattanooga, and I go on there and start looking at applications, and it might be a guy that's been installing dishwashers for 10 years, but every year he has a different job. Yep. I go past that, and I look for people that first and foremost can hold a job. And you know, I tell people that we pay well, we pay on time, and we email you your next job, and we're a great company to work with. I tell them about the organization, and you know, a lot of times when I've sent our field managers applications, that I had to explain to them why I was sending it to them in the beginning. Yep. Because they didn't really see the experience, and I had to say, well, what you're not seeing here is the character, and that I talked to him, and that now there's a lot of trust when I send them people, and I like that. I think that we've came a really long way. And then another thing that I like about today is I love being the house dad at CrumeCast. There's nothing better than being the house dad at CrumeCast. And when I say that, you know, I know that you and Shelby kept on saying to me, you know, relax and have fun, but man, I'm having fun when I'm helping at the CrumeCast. It's something I look forward every year. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's serving others, and serving others is so much more satisfying than serving ourselves.
Yeah,
and
to see people there that had never been there, and you know, never had an opportunity to do that, and the joy is everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it brings us closer. It brings us more into that culture. And, you know, now we're spinning the culture even closer and even greater. You know, we've trimmed down and we're doing more with less today than we've ever done, and doing better at it. And it's a really cool thing to see. And that, again, that attests to the people and the culture. There's more on their plate, but one, we're giving them the tools to make it easier. And two, they're bigger than just coming in and working, right? Like they're working towards something, not for something.
Yeah.
So I would say, you know, I feel like I talk about on you know, the podcasts that we do a lot about, you know, culture, but culture creates everything. You know, you could have someone that doesn't make as much money as they want to make, but they enjoy coming to work. So that makes up the difference. But then your job as a leader is to recognize that and then try to bridge that gap, right? But I would hire off of heart over experiences every single day. The winery, you know, there's people there that was there before I got there. And if there's, you know, Beth is been there forever. And there's no reason for her to be there from a financial standpoint, especially at that time. So like instantly I was drawn to the heart she has for this place, right? Okay, you can't buy that. You can't teach that. So now my job is to go, okay, I want to feed into that facet of you. You know, you love this place. This is part of who you are at this point. So I want to give you more of that. I want to give you more control. I want to give you more opportunities, but I also want to come back through with a financial piece and try to push you somewhere to give you comfortability. Because I can do that. I can't teach the heart. I can't teach the love.
Right.
But I can reinvent this place to make it profitable and then help you from that standpoint. I will take that all day, every day. You know, they might not be, you know, she might not have came from this background of all of this stuff that you would need to run a winery or a venue. But you can teach that stuff, right? You don't, you don't go to school from elementary school to high school and they teach you how to love. They don't teach you how to support and love and lift other people up and really have a passion for something. They don't teach you that. They teach you how to do math, how to write, how to spell, how to read, so you can teach that. You can't teach the emotional connection of something.
Yeah.
And when you find someone that has that, don't pass that up for something that you could teach.
Yeah.
Lean into that and then teach and then grow. And then you've got somebody that will help you take an organization and make it way more than just an installation business or a winery or a venue. Now you have a brand and you have a community of people that love you and people that come to work with you, not for you, because they're not coming to work for me. They're coming to work with me because that's who I am and that's who they are. And it's a great thing.
Well, you know, when we really started getting a lot of success, we were setting records at Lowe's. Louisville was in the battle of top 5 in the nation, and we were plummeted. We were up against top 5 of the nation, and when you look at some of the markets that we were in with, they naturally were getting business because of where they were and the ability for people to be able to pay for the installs and not doing no do-it-yourselfers. And here, it was. Yeah. So we were battling DC, we were battling Hollywood, and we were winning. I mean, and I say that is everything that we worked for. I was getting not only. I was giving you the glory because I was getting the glory. I mean, the glory was just unbelievable in Louisville. Chris Choate was ecstatic about what was going on. A lot of things were hugely, hugely successful. And then I kind of had to turn towards how are we going to hang on to Tim? How are we going to make sure that Tim likes this? And, man, we've got to the point now to where we really need each other a lot.
Yeah.
And I really I wanted to meet Shelby because you talked so much about Shelby, and I really wanted to meet Shelby, and kept on telling you, bring Shelby. We're going to lunch. Bring Shelby. And you finally brought Shelby to lunch, and we went over by Springhurst, I think. I think it was a Italian place. And I was telling her about this salad that had this dressing. and
Kenny is a foodie. He could literally start a podcast and just review food and be a multi-millionaire in 6 weeks.
she was as pregnant could be.
Yep.
With twins. And I was so much joy on her face eating that salad. I'm like, oh my gosh, she likes it as much as I do. And I loved meeting her.
Yeah.
And I think it was 2 days later, she had the baby, and me and Michelle, we were like, we're going to see him. And I went by that restaurant and picked up that salad and brought it up there for her. And I'm telling you right now, if I thought she enjoyed the first one, I guess she had fought through pregnancy and having kids, and now she was hungry.
Yeah.
And I gave her that salad, and the gratitude from her was off the charts.
Yeah.
It was so cool. And so just to see what you do with your family, it impacts people everywhere. And I'm very thankful for you and your family.
Yeah, ditto.
Including your daddy.
Yeah.
Including your
Especially
daddy.
my dad.
Especially your dad. Yeah, he...
you can't build a house without a strong foundation.
No.
And he's a very strong foundation.
He is.
Awesome.
And you started this podcast with trying to get Dad out, and I'll never forget that morning you visited his home and gave him that card, and
yeah,
I still have that video. I watch it every once in a while. It's
yeah,
pretty cool.
It was fun. It's been a fun journey, and it's funny is I keep telling everybody, like, hey, we're just getting started. Like,
yeah,
I'm not tired. They're not tired. And I like challenges. I like adding things to my plate. I like seeing how far you can push something and keeping it great, right? And especially with the teams that we have today, I mean, we're growing again pretty rapidly at this point, in quite a bit of areas and different things, and we're doing good. Like,
yeah.
I'm not in the office nearly as much as I used to be. I check in and I look at all the stuff that comes through, and I'm checking in with the people that I need to check in with, and everything's running really well.
Yeah.
And that's a testament to them now, right? So it's kind of odd. But I've learned in the last couple months that I might not be needed in the office as much as I used to be, but I'm wanted, which is a really cool feeling. So, I'm kind of in there just checking in. I'm more culture check than work check. I know the work's fine.
Yeah.
I just want to see how everybody's doing and what's going on in their life. So
yeah,
it's super fun. I enjoy it.
I think in closing, Tim, one of the things that I'm through the years really excited about is introducing you to read books.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first book, Arabian Fans.
Yes.
And I think after you read that book, you got a copy for everybody in the office.
Yeah.
And there was something in that book, because it's no good unless you have the takeaways.
Mm-hmm.
One of the takeaways for me in that book was how I don't remember the retailer, but they had
It was like a grocery store.
No, it was a department store, a clothing store, I think, and everybody had umbrellas. So when it was raining, they'd walk people out to their cars with the umbrella. Yep. Well, my office was right by the exit door, and I had umbrellas in my office. And every time it would start raining, I'd go out there and start walking people. And that's just something that you do, something that you customer service,
right?
And how many people in the stores would say, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I told them to go read that book.
Yeah.
And we're not finished reading books.
Yeah.
And I take I'm buying books right now for my sophomore in college, and just to ensure that he has the opportunity to be able to.
Yeah, you can learn a lot from reading. I'm one to say, like, You have to read something that lines up with your values, lines up with your life, and something that that would challenge you in a way, right? So like I'm big into those. Like I can't pick up like a fantasy novel or something like that. I'm all into like, you know, the self-help, self-discipline, faith-driven, business-oriented, and I can dig into those. Everything else, I'm ADD kicks in, and I read it 27 times, and I still don't know what the heck I'm reading.
Yeah.
I have no interest in it. But when I find one that I can be interested in, you know, there's several that I'll start and read the first few chapters, close it, and move on to the next one, right? But when I find the one that's impactful, I mean, I journal on it. I jot down things out of it. Perfectly You is one I'm reading right now, and I'm enjoying that a lot. And that's one that you put down at the apartment.
I
in
put
the
it,
bathroom.
I put
I
it
seen it in there, and I was like, "Oh, look at this!" And I started reading, and I just put it in my backpack. But it's like, you know, it's one of those things. That was an opportunity that was in front of me that I chose to see, and decided to take a little bit of a leap and start reading it. And I'm enjoying it, and I'm learning things about me. Celebrate Progress is on my mirror right now, and it came out of that book, right? Yeah. We're so quick to go, I want to get to $100,000 as a business, right? I want to get to $100,000 or $100 million. I'm sorry. Well, when you hit 100,000, are you looking at that and going like, oh man, I'm 900,000 away from $1 million? Or are you looking at it and going, great job, everybody. We hit 100 grand. Let's keep going. Let's hit the next 100. Let's celebrate the little bit of progress, right? Because otherwise you get stuck in this area to where you've got this big goal that you want to hit. Well, that only works much like a ladder, right?
Yeah.
You can't get to the top of the ladder without climbing each rung to get there, right? So celebrate each step to get to the top. And then when you get to the top, you can celebrate achieving that goal. Yeah. But every step matters, and if you can't celebrate that along the way, you'll get in a hole, right? Or you'll start second guessing yourself, or you'll start trying to figure out like, can I even do this, right? But instead, it's like, man, look at me. I am doing this. I'm climbing this one at a time, one at a time. Now I'm at the top of it. I just got to be careful not to step on those tags because I got to take this thing back when I'm done. But that's the kind of stuff I like pulling out of books, where I get so driven and so focused. I'm just like, let's go, grow, check in. But let's celebrate the go, the grow, and celebrate checking in, because that's personal growth as well, right? Like I'm checking in now to making sure that people in my lives are okay with the growth and the go that I'm doing. So celebrate each one of those steps. And then it's so much more impactful when you do finally hit that goal, because you're not just celebrating the goal, you're celebrating the journey to get there. And then you've got an entire life of celebration instead of just one thing that you're constantly going after nonstop, and you don't feel accomplished along the way. Take time to celebrate the little things. Take time to celebrate the camper purchase. You know, don't let fear take over. Celebrate the fact that, like, I've got a camper in Evansville, Indiana, sitting in a campground with one of my buddies that I'm hoping to God we can figure out what we're doing. But celebrate the fact that we're even here.
Yeah.
Right? That's the journey. And if you can't celebrate the journey when you get to your destination, it's just that. It's just a destination. And then you're going to be looking for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And there's only so much joy and an accomplishment you can have in your life if you feel like you have to hit gold.
Yeah.
Before you get there. Enjoy the dig.
Yeah. I remember one of the things I missed talking about was in Evansville is we took on that huge window job. And everybody was like, there's no way in hell you can pull that off. And we pulled that off in like 3 weeks.
We did. That was not a nice place.
It was a torture to do that in 3 weeks. And then what happened right after that, what happened is Dale was suffering greatly in Nashville on a window job, and we went down there and fixed that. But holy cow, man, when we pulled off that window job. And another thing about Evansville is I remember when we were coming home from Evansville and you just had started in millwork.
Yep.
And we got about halfway. We were close to Louisville, and I said, have you done any window jobs yet? And you said, well, we're on one right now. And then I said, good, let's go.
Yeah, fantastic.
Let's go. Yeah, like you stuck your foot in your mouth.
Yeah.
I remember pulling up.
Sporadic.
Yeah, I remember sporadic. There you go. I remember pulling up to that job, and this lady comes from around the corner, and she's almost running. And she says, "Who are you on?" We tell her who we are, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, this guy's so great." And that job was perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it was freaking perfect. And then shortly thereafter, another sporadic. I was kind of surprised. I was kind of like that because I wanted to go to lunch.
Yeah, you were, yes, every day. I gained 60 pounds after I met you.
So I said, "Hey, man, have you done a door job yet?" And you said, "Well, yeah, there's one going on." And we went to that door job. You remember that?
And
we walked up to that door, and as weird as this may sound, the caulking around that door was perfect.
Yeah.
And I looked at that door, and I'm like, how do you do a job that I've never seen anything like this? That is perfect. And the customer was so excited about it. And even today, when you go all the way forward to today, the expectation is the same.
Yeah.
It's and you look at your scores today. I mean, your scores are still off the chart. So
yeah, 2 words, 1 rule: don't suck. That's
Yeah,
what I always
don't
tell
suck.
everybody. Don't suck. And
Yes.
they're like, what? I'm like, just whatever it is, don't suck at it. Like, if you're putting a door in, don't suck. Like, yeah, it's awesome. Well, I appreciate you being here. I love you tremendously.
Love you too, buddy.
We could talk forever about stories that we probably won't
Yeah.
talk about, but a lot of fun, a lot of growth. Both of us not having a clue that it would be where it is today. You seeing, for whatever reason, in me, you were one of the first people that saw something that I didn't think was possible, and then pushing me. So I appreciate you for that forever. And yeah, I love you.
Love you too, brother.
So thank you guys for all watching. If you've got a Kenny in your life, keep them. Listen to them. Slow down to go fast. And if you don't have a Kenny, find one. Everybody's got one. You just have to make sure that you take the blinders off and you can see them. So don't forget, anything is possible when you take off the blinders. I love and appreciate you all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in to the CrumeCast podcast. We're excited to continue to share our story with you. Our new guests that are coming on have a lot more to tell. You've got a lot more to learn, so we really hope that you keep tuning in, and we will see you next time. Have a blessed day.